much, everybody. Very nice to be here. Well, I'm going to start gabbing in a minute, but I always like to try to make my point at the beginning of presentations so that it sort of sets the tone. So I'm going to play a little clip for you. Plus, it's entertaining, and I like that.
You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the difference between winning and losing.
The inches of digital marketing. So, who's excited now? Come on, everybody. It's a coach speech. You got to be excited. I'm excited. I feel like giving high fives to everybody, but I'm not going to do it. But in my mind, everybody's getting high five. Okay. I want you to remember that we're talking about the game of inches. So many times when we're at marketing shows, I know I feel like I'm doing it. Sometimes I'm like, here's how you do this, and here's how you do that. Well, if you want to learn, this is when I first started speaking, this is the thing I used to say to everybody that would come see me talk. I would say, if you want to learn how to do something, why are you sitting here? If you want to learn how to do something, grab yourself a bottle of wine, go back to the hotel and Google search it. You want to know how to run a paid search campaign? Google search it. Facebook, Google search it. You should be shopping here. Don't waste your time talking to me, right? So that's why I'm not here to teach you how to do something. I'm here to help you think about what you're doing. The inches that are going to separate you from the competition. And hopefully you'll understand a strategy and a process to either do one of two things. Make yourself better or make your internal team better, or understand that you can't do that and work with a partner who can do it for you, okay? So, here's what I want you to know. And I have to say, the inches are dominated by experts. The inches, the little things, the little tweaks that you make to anything, but we're talking digital here, are dominated by experts. People that know in and out how to set up a paid search campaign. People that know in and out how to run a Facebook campaign, how to manage social media, how to connect. They're the people that know how to do it, and they're the people that do it like everyone else, okay? And I'm going to run through some of those, and I'm going to talk a little bit about it, about some of the strategies, some of the things you should be aware of if you're going to run digital media yourself, if you dare risk it. But I always say this, anyone can launch digital media efforts, but few fully understand function and execution. So you could go right now, we could all go over here to the lunch area, get on Google and set up an AdWords campaign. Okay, and you can put in your credit card and there you go. But you're not going to create an effective campaign if you don't know what you're doing. The platforms are easy to get. Social media, all that stuff. Well, let's let Janice do it. She's really good at it. She's 22. The fastest growing group in Facebook's actually 55 and over, so just so you know, FYI. But, so, the other thing to remember is social media is all grown up now. It's not about plug and play anymore. Like, hey, we've got a Facebook page, and we've got now. How many people went and saw my session yesterday? A few. Okay, so some of this regurgitation that comes out of me, well, it will reinforce that. But when I say social media is grown up right now, it's not about the number of fans you have anymore. Who cares? If you have fans that don't translate into sales or customers, then you have people on your Facebook page that sometimes see your stuff. And sometimes they don't see anything at all because you may be over-posted and they just shut you off. You didn't lose them as a fan, they just don't see your feeds anymore, which is worse because you got no real way to gauge the success or healthiness of your Facebook page. So when I say anyone can launch digital efforts and few fully understand it, We're going to talk a little bit about some of those things here today, show you some examples. I'm going to try to leave some time for questions. This is only a 45-minute session, but if you have questions at the end, you can always come see me at the Digital Marketing Smart Station number 5, and we can talk in more detail. Okay, so why is digital marketing so important? There's a translation happening here, so people are starting to get more into digital marketing. It's really only happened in the past 3 years, really. I mean, people have done things before, but in the past few years, it seems like that's what everybody's talking about. When people want me to come speak, they always want me, can you speak about social media? And yeah, sure, I can see. Can we talk about Facebook? Well, it's bigger than that. It's bigger than Facebook. Your digital world is its whole universe. It all is interconnected. Your Facebook advertising, paid search, your website, all of these things have to work together and not independently of each other. It's about pushing traffic to and fro. It's a whole sphere. It's a circle. I was in some television show. It's a circle. I thought it was funny. You guys don't, but I thought it was funny. Okay, so it's targeted, it's scalable, and it's trackable. I'll show you some of those things. But digital media is phenomenal. I mean, it's amazing sometimes when I hear people, I don't know if I really buy into this whole social media thing, or I don't know about that whole Facebook thing. It seems just like a thing for kids. That's the wrong thinking. If you're targeting, if you're strategic about it. But when I say it's scalable, trackable, you can see, and I'm going to show you some results here, detailed results of what you spent. And I see it. So a lot of people do print ads. And how do you know if the print ad worked? Would it have a coupon in it? Maybe you hope people run that till they're blue in the face. Oh, newspaper. Not that traditional media is dead. It is not. You just have to think differently about how you work that into your entire marketing mix. Okay. So you have to look at it. Maybe it makes sense to run print advertising in a local magazine. Maybe it makes sense to run newspaper for you. You have to take yours independently. But when you look at it, you have to think about how do you connect with that media. So if you're running print, what if you connect to your digital platform via print, for example? What if you had a unique URL inside of a print ad that only went to a digital asset that you could track with Google Analytics? Then you could tell the validity of what you're doing in print to digital. So again, it's all connected. It's all working together. Okay, consumers search products and services online. Does anybody not know that? Everybody knows it. Who believes that's true? Everybody believes it. So we're all in, right? We all believe in digital. 86% of mobile internet users are using their devices while watching TV. I know I do. I'm sitting watching TV on my iPad or my laptop or my smartphone, and it happens to me a lot. I see a commercial like, oh, okay, that's what I'm going to look at that, and I'm checking it. I'm actually interacting with the ads now. So think of that. If you're running television, can your television connect to digital? Think about it. 86% of mobile internet users are using their devices while watching TV. Doesn't that change how you think about television? Television's kind of a digital asset, you know. So think about that. Well, what's the message? What do you want them to do? They've got their device. They're sitting right there waiting for you to do something. So think about connecting to them back to your digital assets. Okay, so here are the types of digital efforts that we're going to talk about today. Now there are more, but this is, you know, the obvious ones, the ones that most people should be using but might not be using effectively. So let's talk about those. Facebook advertising, paid search, mobile marketing, and your website. Okay. How many people here have done Facebook advertising? Okay, a good amount. How many people want to do Facebook advertising but not sure what you're supposed to do with it? How many think Facebook advertising is stupid? No. So, okay, Facebook advertising, very valuable. So I'm going to show you a couple of ways that you can connect with that for some strategies. And let's start with that. So, what is Facebook advertising? So, one of the things that we're going to talk about here also, by the way, is budgeting in the end. So how do you take all these assets and put it together and make a plan? But let's start with Facebook advertising. Let's talk about what it is. Okay, we're going to understand what it was, and I'll show you some strategies later. So Facebook advertising, what is it? How does it work? Okay, so there's really, for argument's sake, there's two types of Facebook advertising. There's traditional Facebook ads, such as this. It appears in the right-hand feed of your Facebook page, right? Everybody's seen that. And then there's sponsored stories. Now these are based on your page posts, the stuff that you put on your page, right? So in this particular post right here, it was an image-based post, right? Now the strategy here is this. Okay, people identify product. They want to see product. If any of you were in the Knot session yesterday, some of this stuff is going to ring true to you. People love product. They're visual. People are visual. They want to see nice things. When they see nice things, they comment, like, and share it. That's what this is all about. So in this particular post, right, we've got some products, and we ask the question for engagement, purple or green. It's real simple. We've got a nice product. There's 140 likes, 135 comments, and 19 shares. That's media. All that is media with Facebook advertising. So what did we do? We used a sponsored story type of Facebook advertising, and we used this post to be the sponsored story post that we're promoting, that shows up in everybody's feeds. So people see it, people comment, like, and share it, then it shows up in their feeds, and then their friends see it, and so then they start commenting, like, and share it. So that Facebook advertising is a media buy, and all that comes along with it, the likes, the shares, the comments, that's media. You're not just buying the media. It's like print ad, print circulation. You buy a print ad, they have a circulation of 100,000 people. So people get to see that ad, that you're buying that media. It's the same thing with this, and that's the way to look at it. But the value add is the like, shares, comments, etc. Does that make sense? Okay. So we'll get in a little bit later. It drives engagements to your page, your Facebook page, and your posts. And people will organically, I always talk about organically getting fans. And if you were in my session yesterday, you'll know why I talk so much about getting real fans. Numbers don't mean anything. Get true people that are your fans. I'd rather have 100 targeted fans than 1,000 non-targeted fans. So keep that in mind. You really want people that are truly potential customers for your store. So it drives engagement to your page and your posts. They see the stuff that's on your page. They like it. They can share it. It supports branding, which is a big aspect of Facebook. Facebook really has three things that you should kind of keep in mind. Branding, it's a branding vehicle. That's their primary driver, Facebook. Consistency, branding yourself in the market. The other thing is opportunities for sales. Think Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, holidays. And then also remember sales cycle. Because when you can communicate with people on a social channel like that, you're building your brand, and that sales cycle happens. It might be 6 months from now, but you want that person, when they're ready for an engagement ring, you're the first person they think, so they start shopping there. It's yours to lose. Okay, so there are three different things to think about when you think about how you judge the success of your Facebook page. It's also target-based on location, age, status. I think most of us already know that, but just in case you don't, you can target immensely with Facebook advertising. I can say, okay, I want to target 20 miles within your store, 20-mile radius of your store, people who are 25 to 38 who have an affinity for jewelry and have a college degree and are single, if I wanted to. Seriously, that's pretty targeted. So then there's the strategy that happens when you start thinking about how you use Facebook advertising is, are you using a sponsored story? What are you targeting with the sponsored story? Let's say it's bridal. Let's say you have a great Tacori engagement ring or Hearts on Fire or something. It's this beautiful picture. People will comment, like, and share on bridal. It's crazy. And then they'll start talking about it, and then their friends see that they commented on it, and you'll see this all the time. Are you trying to say something? Are you dropping a hint? Is Brian shopping for a ring? It's funny. They start this whole conversation. But anyway, if you're doing that, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to use Facebook advertising so people see this content. Because, by the way, only about 20% or less of your fans see your post when you post them. I mean, so, if you think about that, everybody's not seeing your content. And that's because, they have 10 other companies that they're fans of. They have 500 friends. So it feeds up their timeline. Unless they're the kind of people like me that will scroll and see all the content till I'm up to the next day, they could miss it. So you use Facebook advertising to push that content not only to your fan base, but to their friends and family and other people that meet your demographic profile. So if it's bridal, what am I going to do? Well, I may target women who are 25 to 30-something, who are single or in a relationship, you know, and I can continue to go on. I could say I only want college educated, but or I don't care. It's open it up, or you can do anything. And people that are, I could say people that are fans of certain other Facebook pages, for example. And that population, as you continue to target and narrow it, gets smaller and smaller, and you're like, okay, that's a good number right there for me to work with, and that's how target I can go. Okay. The other thing is you only pay for click-throughs, which are a fairly engaged customer. So if you're going to do this media spend, click-through rates on Facebook are relatively low, and that's simply because people are on there to connect with family and friends. They're not really there to be sold. So, you know, your marketing message isn't so hard-hitting. But if they do see the post and connect with it, then they're someone who's actually interested in your content. Okay, so here's a sample Facebook advertising campaign. This is something that we did during the holiday season for a client. Now, what we did, we used this, probably was being pushed for 4 days on Facebook advertising. It was in conjunction with a larger program that we did. But here's the results from a Facebook campaign that they ran for 35 days. Now, in the span of that 35 days, they flipped out the sponsored stories they were using. This is one of them, okay? This particular post ran for 4 days and received 456 likes, 79 comments, and 62 shares, okay? So that's really good. Okay, that's great. So what did they spend in 35 days? They spent $625 in 35 days to run a promotion on Facebook. What did they get? 4,088 clicks on to the sponsored story in 35 days. 15 cents a click. It's pretty low for any digital media. It's pretty low, 15 cents. 958 new fans in 35 days. And we didn't even, you know, they weren't even being forced to like the page. They liked this ring. This particular client sold 8 of those rings in 1 week from this post. So now that's ROI, correct? Now we say, oh, okay, I spent $625. I sold 8 of these, and then numerous other products, by the way. That's, again, 4 days. We ran it for 35, $625. Okay, how many people saw this? There were 1,167,000 impressions. So that's more branding. Okay, not everybody's going to click, but you know they see it whether they engage or not. But you're not paying for it. You only pay if they click. So you see that value in doing Facebook advertising. Again, $625 spent. So, all right. Does anybody have any questions on paid search first? Yes. Yeah, it's how many times that it had the potential to be clicked on. So yes, people seeing. No, it's how many times it appears in their friends, the target audience that you put it through, etc. Yeah. Yes. Sponsor stories, and this one in particular. I'm a big fan of sponsor stories because they're so cost effective if you do them right. And you know, again, you can feature product more prominently. You know, you got bigger photos. You use pic posts on your, you know, do a big image instead of, you know, traditional, which may be a little tiny logo and you got some ads. But again, you have to consider what you're trying to do. Traditional Facebook advertising does have its merits based on what your strategy is. So in this particular case, and I can show you some if you want to talk later, I can show you some of those that we do, but in this particular case, just sponsored stories, that's an example of that. Yes? Oh, the LaFawn ring was $240, and we put a retail on that. So we put, check out this great LaFawn ring, I'll go back. So this is what the post said. It says, see great gift ideas like this LaFawn ring, only $240. So you got price pointed items during the holiday season. People can see it. They know you have it. They're comfortable coming into the store, and at the very least they want the ring, and they may buy more. So we're sort of, and keep in mind too, during the holiday season, you're not trying to, this is the other aspect of it, is think about what your expectations are. During the holiday season, you really shouldn't be pushing bridal necessarily. Push bridal during the bridal season. During the holiday season, push gift giving. And people typically are spending under $500 when they're gift giving. Typically. You can push some other stuff too, but don't get carried away. So there's always that strategy. This is one of those sales cycles where this is a good opportunity to sell because it's the holidays. Okay, so that's one medium. All right, so let's talk about paid search. Does everybody know what paid search is? Is anybody doing paid search? A few? How many people don't know what paid search is? Okay, so basically paid search is, okay, you know when you Google search something, engagement rings, that's paid search. So that's called a keyword phrase. Okay, so let's talk about that. Paid search is a great digital medium to push traffic to your website, all right? And that's why we do it. Nearly all consumers, 97%, now use online media when researching products or services in their local area. I think this is something that the Knot also mentioned too in their session. 97% use online media to shop before they buy. That's why paid search is so important. It's driving traffic to your website. It's also why your website's important, by the way. That's why it's no longer an online brochure. It's a living, breathing part of your business. It's an extension of your store. It's the online version of your store. If you could give a virtual walkthrough on the web, that would be great because that's what they're looking for. They're coming in, they're shopping. If you don't have product on your website, if you're not showing content, showing what makes you different, promoting yourself, letting them get a good feel for what you carry and who you are, you're losing a lot of opportunity because people are searching. Whether you're doing paid search or not, you can show up organically too. But paid allows you to capture audiences who are searching particular keywords that you may not come up high ranking on. So you can have a variety. You could have 100 different keywords you're using in paid search. You could have 1,000 different keywords that you use in paid search, although that's a little excessive because it's not very targeted. So more about that later. Okay, so among consumers surveyed, 90% use search engines, with 67% of that being Google. Okay, so 90% of consumers don't go directly to your site, they search for it, and 67% of them use Google. Now you can always go do Bing, and there's other search engines, but if you want to use an easy, straightforward place to capture your traffic, you can start just with Google. Google AdWords is what it's officially called. And that is the search engine that you can use, most people use when they're searching traffic online. Okay, so now let's start getting into the paid search inches, the little things that help set up a campaign. Now, when you set up a paid search campaign, you're basically saying, I'm setting up a campaign and here's a bunch of keyword phrases that I'm going to put in the campaign for people that are searching for stuff in my area. Now, paid search is just like Facebook advertising in the sense that you can target location, geo-target your area, right? So when you're setting up your campaign, so they say, well, where do you want to target? Well, there's multiple. You can target by zip code, you can target by radius, you can target by city, etc. It just depends on what you want to do and how far you want your reach to be, okay? Now, when you're setting that up, then it says, okay, start your first campaign. Now, if you're a novice, might be where you can get lost. It's like, now what do I do? So this is definitely where there are serious experts in the area. When we set up campaigns, we do research on keywords. We're thinking about things creatively, not only from a practical standpoint, but a strategic standpoint as well. Because paid search, you're competing against everyone else. So the better your campaign is, the more targeted your campaign is, the more strategic your campaign is, the lower your costs are and the higher your placement is on that search. All right, again, some of this stuff is, I'm spitting it out, but you need to understand, again, it's those small little things with people like me, people like our agency, that they do things that we know how to do. If you want to tackle it on your own, you got to take those things into consideration. So hopefully some of these will give you that idea. So what I want to do is show you how we might set up a campaign. So let's say you have 4 campaigns that you want to run, okay? One of them is bridal. I think everybody probably wants to target bridal, so let's break that out. Well, if anybody else in your area is doing bridal, there you go. There's the competition. So everybody's doing bridal. So you got to be targeted. So this is an example of what a typical paid search ad, right? We've all seen them in Google. There's usually like three on the top of when you're searching, and then all on the right side. So let's say we're setting up bridal. Here's a strategy that I might imply, right? I'm going to start with a bridal campaign. It's specifically bridal. And I'm going to break it up into two different segments, all right? I'm going to do an ad group for engagement rings, and I'm going to do an ad group for particular brands, okay? And the reason I do that is because I can target my ads more, right? In brands, my message, my ad, is going to be talking about the brands. It's going to have keywords in there of the brands I carry. Because what happens is this. Okay, I have a brand keyword. Let's say, see wonderful selection of engagement rings like Hearts on Fire and Tacori. And so-and-so jewelers, you know. And you got your URL down there. Well, so my keyword in that campaign, two of them would be Hearts on Fire and Tacori engagement rings, for example. Maybe those are two of them. Now what happens then is when that ad comes up, Google looks at a few things, these are the inches, a few things that make those ads relevant. Okay, one, they look at the campaign itself. What are the words the campaign is using? Tacori, Hearts on Fire, large selection. Two, what are the keywords that you're saying you want to bid on? Tacori, engagement ring, Hearts on Fire, slew of others, whatever. Okay, there's two of them. And they say, okay, well, the keywords are relevant. They're searching for this. They're bidding on this. Their ad states those two keywords, so that's more relevant. And then what are you going to do? Are you going to take them to your home page on your link? No. You're going to take them to your bridal page. More specifically, your brand's page. So they're not trying to navigate. So now Google's looking and saying, okay, and they're taking them to a page with the relevant content. So what happens? Google wants to be able to give the viewer the best search possible, right? They want to be intuitive. So they're saying, all right, this is the most relevant because all these things are working together. They're taking them to the correct page. They're using the right keywords. This ad's really relevant for this search. And so what happens is you rank higher in that particular search. And the more targeted you are, your costs tend to go down over time. And there's some tips and things you can do with bidding as well, but basically that's the gist of setting up that campaign. Now, so I'll have some keywords in here. Now we've got an engagement ad group, and so this might be an ad. Diamond engagement rings, most beautiful engagement rings, timeless and unique styles. Okay, so inside of that, I'm going to use other keywords that are not brand specifics. The biggest thing that one of the things that people do and they make the mistake is using the same keywords in different campaigns. So if you're using the phrase engagement rings, okay, just use it here. Don't use it in any of your other campaigns because then you're competing against yourself and you're becoming less relevant and you're not very targeted. Conversely, in brands, don't use engagement rings either. You can't say Hearts on Fire engagement rings because that's a unique search. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, so this same platform would happen throughout the rest of your campaigns. So it may be, you may have a campaign for your other brands that you have. Maybe you carry Pandora. For example, another thing to keep in mind, Tacori offers co-op. So if oh, I want to get paid search co-op from Tacori. So you'll set up a campaign away from this for Tacori because they're giving you co-op. So now what do you do? Well, you have Tacori specific ads, right? This ad would be all about Tacori, nothing else. What I would do, Tacori would no longer be in my brands. I would do my other engagement brands, but they have their own ad group, so I want to be super targeted. I want to make sure that I just use Tacori on that Tacori brand, and so then you can create traffic just on Tacori. That makes sense? Got to think about that. Some people offer co-op on paid search, so you might as well take advantage of it. So that is the basics of setting up a campaign. Okay, now let's get more into the inches. 90% of the time when I look at other campaigns, I see generic keywords, or what's called a broad match. That's why I highlighted this. Okay, this is the keyword, women's jewelry. Okay, it's pretty generic, but what you don't know, but you say, oh, but I want to bid on somebody who's looking for women's jewelry. Makes sense, right? But what you have to understand that broad match keywords, which if you just type it in, they're not going to change it for you. Most people just type in the keywords. Even companies, professional companies, only a lot of them, not everybody, there's some great companies out there, don't get me wrong, but a lot of them that I've seen just use broad match keywords. What's so bad about that? Well, your ad may show if a search term contains the keyword term in any order, possibly along with others. So for example, I mean, and it shouldn't show up like this, but you could have jewelry for women who love Lord of the Rings. I mean, it can show up in a combination. It doesn't have to be women's jewelry. It could be jewelry, women, and a few words in between. But it also, because it's a broad match, could pull up other similar keywords, like this search term, buy ladies jewelry, which still may be relevant for you, but my point is that women's, ladies, those types of things can change when you have a broad match campaign. And that's fine and well, but now let's talk about being targeted. Let's talk about the inches. That's where these other types of keyword phrases come into play. And you'll start to see how these make you more targeted. The more broad you make your campaign, the more money you can spend because you'll capture more search. The more targeted your campaign you get, the less you'll pay. You'll have a much more targeted campaign, and then you can adjust your budget accordingly. Okay, so what's the other one? Well, there's broad match, and then there's broad match modifier. Broad match modifiers in the search interface, you put a little plus sign in front of the word. Okay, so that says your ads can only show when someone's search contains those modified terms or close variations of the modified terms. So in this particular case, you're saying, I want it to say women's and I want it to say jewelry, not ladies, etc. Okay, so that's a broad match modifier. That's sort of tightening it up a little bit. Now here's where we start getting a little more specific. Now there's phrase match. Phrase match, your ad can show when someone searches for your exact keyword or your exact keyword with additional words before it or after it. So I've got women's jewelry. What I'm saying when I do phrase match is I only want the search to be when those two words are exactly as I've put them. Women's jewelry. I don't want jewelry for women. I want women's jewelry, whatever. So it could be women's jewelry for the holidays. It could be after. There can be some content after. There can be some content before. But primarily what we want are those words to be together. That's called phrase match. Okay? Now, then you can take it a little further. Then there's exact match. Your ads can appear when someone searches for your exact keyword without any other terms in the search. You got these little brackets. So you actually put this into your campaign, and you can select it in your interface, or you can do it manually. So you put these little brackets, and that says this is an exact keyword. That means you don't want any search unless they're exactly searching for women's jewelry. If it says buy women's jewelry, nope. Only if they search women's jewelry. Now, we could continue to go on about when you would use that and when you won't. Again, those are the little inches, little things that you would do. That's the strategy behind it, because you don't want to always do exact match. There may be times you want to do other things. For example, maybe I don't want to do exact match for engagement rings. I want to do maybe phrase match for engagement rings, depending on my campaign. So if phrase match, someone to say buy engagement rings, yeah, okay, you're in. Or engagement ring jeweler, okay. So I don't want exact in that one. I may want to loosen it up. But there is a strategy behind what you're doing. Okay, and then as we move forward, there's also negative match. Now, negative match prevents your ad from showing to people who search for certain terms. In this case, we started off with women's jewelry. But what is a negative keyword that we don't want? Because we're fine jewelers, right? Costume jewelry. So if someone searches for costume jewelry, we want to make sure our ad doesn't show up at all. Because it could be women's costume jewelry. Okay, women's costume jewelry. Does anybody really want to pay for that search? No? Does anybody really want to? I mean, seriously. Women's costume jewelry, you're selling that? No. But if you're using broad match, right, women's jewelry, it could show up. See, you see the difference? Now, if I did exact match, then it wouldn't. If I use phrase match, then you can control it more. But see, when you use a negative keyword, you're saying this word isn't relevant when you're using it in this particular campaign. Costume jewelry, I don't want that search. So you can tighten it up even more. All those work together. Yes? No, you don't pay for them. You just are saying, I don't want to bid on it. I don't want, if I'm using broad match, for example, I may add a negative word being costume, so that someone searches for women's costume jewelry, it goes, that's not relevant. I don't want to pay, I don't want my ad to show for that. And I mean, again, you can tighten things up depending on which session you use. Does that make sense, everybody? See, this here will make or break your campaign. Now, experts will use these to their advantage because I can compete, create better targeted ads, and my content's more relevant than yours. So my ads are always going to perform better over time. And though my costs are going to go down, and I'm also going to apply other strategies and target you in a way that when our ads are showing up, I can sit in a certain position. Like I know where I want to be. I want to be in this position, in this range of positions, and I can formulate a plan so that it happens for me. I can control my costs by optimization, looking at the thing monthly, looking at it quarterly, looking at it weekly, and looking at what's happening in the search terms. For example, how many here sell gold? Gold buying is an expensive keyword. Expensive. I was doing keyword search for a client in a large city, and the keywords were coming up, suggested bids are like $12, $13, $14 a click. Not for me. So you have to break that off, and I'm like, well, that's broadman. I'm going to tighten this up in terms of what I'm looking for. But you realize why it was so competitive? Because not only is every jeweler in the city really buying gold, but so are pawn shops, so are some businesses. Everybody's trying, and what are they doing? Gold buying. That's the keyword we're using, and it's usually broad match. We're going to buy it, and so everybody's buying it. So the cost goes up, but less people are probably looking for a more specific keyword. Okay? This tech stuff is horrible, isn't it? Does this make sense for everybody? Okay. All right, so here are some more paid search inches. And I mentioned this before. Make sure you drive traffic to the page that's relevant. Don't ever drop them off on your home page. You're making that'd be like, let me put it into a more traditional way to look at it. You do direct mail. You send direct mail out because you want people to see an offer or service you have, and you hope they come into your store. And when they come into the store, someone says, "May I help you?" Yes, and they take them exactly to what they're looking for. Okay, the virtual world of that, of paid search, would be you spend the money, direct mail, paid search, to get people to visit your store, clicking on an ad and coming to your website. But if you drop them off on the home page, that's like someone going, when they walk in the door, people going, lunch. And no one helping them or showing them where to go. Does anybody here just let customers roam freely in their store and never ask them if they can help them with something? Same thing. So take them to the place that they want. If they're looking at a Tacori ad, take them to Tacori. If they're looking at custom jewelry, take them to custom jewelry. Pretty easy premise, right? The other thing is, please, don't bid on your name. Please don't bid on your name. Maybe in some crazy strategic circumstance it makes sense, but most of the time, don't bid on your name. You know why? If you have a website that is at all functional, and someone searches for so-and-so jewelers, you're probably going to be the first in the organic search, or at least you should be, right? If you're paying for your own name, then you're showing up right above yourself. And then you're paying for someone to do the same click. Don't do that. Don't do that unless there's some kind of strategy that is out there that makes sense for you to do that kind of thing. Most of the time it does not, so please avoid that. I had a client once, honest to God, looked at it, their paid search, and said, oh, what are your top 3 keywords for the year? Their 3rd top keyword was their name. 30% of their budget was going to pay for their own name. So, you know, again, I said, well, the first thing is, I know how to increase your budget by 30%. Well, stop bidding on your name. Okay.
What about your competitors?
Yeah, that's a good inch too. You said, what about your competitor's name? Yes, it's sort of off-putting, but whatever. Yeah, it's pretty cheap. Usually, but you know, here's the thing. The question was, what about bidding on your competitor's name? Yes, you can bid on your competitor's name. It's a little, you know, whatever. But hey, it's a dog-eat-dog world, so yes, you can do that. And you know, you can bid on a lot of different types of phrases and keywords, etc. Usually those things are cheap too, because not too many people are connecting with that. Not too many people are bidding on their names. So those clicks are, like you were saying, usually 20 cents a click. So, okay, the other thing is, remember when we were talking about this, over half the traffic that is searching for things is on mobile devices. So that's a big thing. Think about the iPhone launched only in 2007. Before that, we all had these weird flip phones. Remember those days? We were like, how many of us, I mean, come be honest, were you not playing Captain Kirk? I was doing it all the time. I can't do it. Anyway, so those days are gone, but I mean, think about that. 2007? That's like 6 years ago. And how many, we're up to iPhone 5, waiting on 6. I'm waiting on 6 because my contract's about to go off. But, I mean, that's not that long. But the whole world of communication, think about Facebook. Nobody was playing on Facebook in 2007. A couple of people were, but didn't reach mass. All that stuff has changed. So you got to keep that in mind too. Anyway, so because of that, one of the things that you can do inside of a paid search campaign is there's different types of extensions you can use. This is another little, inch, the trick you can do. It's not really a trick, it's just a part of what the service offers. So the more you know about paid search, the more you can optimize your campaign. But so what happens is, if your ad shows up on a mobile device and you have a mobile call extension connected, this little call button comes up here. So they're searching on their phone. Oh, okay, I'm looking for engagement rings. Here, click, and it dials them. So I was looking for an engagement ring. Moreover, one of the things that will happen in your paid search campaign is you'll be able to track those calls too. So at the end of the month, you can look back and say, oh, I received 125 mobile calls from paid search. Again, basically ROI on what's driving traffic to your store. Okay. Now you can also take it a step further and put in a full call sort of directory where it's not just mobile, but basically what happens is Google provides you a number. It won't be your store number, but they provide a number. And that number would be what shows up or whether they're on a mobile device or not. And you can track that too, because if you want to track calls that came in, no matter what from paid search, Google uses this number that redirects to your number, but because it's a number that's only for you, whether someone writes it down and calls it 2 months later, they're only calling that number if they saw it in your paid search. Does that make, you guys get that? So that's, that's another factor. There's some nuances to it, but that's another thing you can do. All right, stay away from generic keywords like jewelry. Jewelry will be your #1 keyword. If you say, my keyword is jewelry, and I could bet you 9 out of 10 campaigns use the word jewelry. Why would you use jewelry? That could be anything, especially if it's a broad match. It could be costume jewelry, cheap jewelry, cat jewelry. There's jewelry for cats, by the way, in case you don't know. Google search it. But so it could be anything. So jewelry is is a generic term. That's generic. Rings is a generic term. Now you can bid on it, but I mean, you probably want a more targeted campaign, right? probably don't want to bid on some open word that has some jewelry reference. So keep that in mind too. Generic keywords, they'll give you a lot of traffic and a lot of clicks, but not as many results. Target it, target it, target it. Okay. Mobile marketing. Okay, so mobile marketing is something that is becoming more and more of a topic. I'm going to talk about some of it and some of the things that you can do just to sort of plant the seeds. A lot of times you need to work for professionals in this kind of area, like retargeting, etc. There's a lot of different things you can do. Retargeting, for example, is basically you're putting a pixel on your website so that when someone visits your website and they go to the engagement ring section of your website, it's tracked. So that person then, you can buy media through like CNN, Yahoo, or any other slew of websites. So if that person goes to Yahoo or any other site and they happen to be reading an article about engagement rings, you have a banner ad that shows up for engagement rings. I mean, how creepy is that? And it will follow you, you know, for 10 days or something like that. So you'll see these ads, and some of you may have noticed this already. You're like, I keep seeing the same ad over and over and over again. So it happens to me all the time because I keep seeing if we're doing something for our jeweler that's retargeting, I keep seeing the ads because I'm sorry, yeah. You see it on Facebook too. It also can retarget to Facebook, absolutely. Yep, she was just saying something she saw at Nordstrom is now on Facebook, retargeting. It's creepy. It's creepy, but from a marketing standpoint, it's pretty awesome. Okay, smartphone ownership has surpassed 50% and is growing. And you know, now you got these big Galaxy phones, right? They're almost like mini iPads or something. So you can really get a lot of information. People start using that for a lot of mobile computing. 70% of mobile searches lead to action within 1 hour in comparison to 30% from desktop searches. 70% lead to action versus 30% of desktop. So mobile people are for real. They're looking for something, they're on the go. Who knows what they're doing? They're out shopping. Oh, where should I get engagement rings in here? No, or whatever. I wonder who sells Pandora. Yes? I'm sorry? I'd have to look at it. This is from ComScore, and that's from Mobile Marketer 2012. So I'd have to see. I don't know what product it was looking for in terms of just searches and with not just jewelry. No, it's not jewelry. We're looking at retail. Looking at retail. Okay. Also, 61% of smartphone users perform local searches on their device. Okay, so you can see the value of mobile. Okay, I don't want to go over, but all right. So there's a few types of mobile marketing. There's pay-per-call mobile. Is a form of mobile marketing where a potential consumer can directly tap or click a phone number placed in a mobile ad. Okay, there are mobile banner ads. It's like a standard banner ad, but now customized to fit and cater to mobile websites. I'm going to show you something about websites too in a second. And then there's mobile applications. More and more people are creating apps, and you can actually advertise in the apps. And if anybody has apps, you'll notice that people do that. So you can do that as well. Text, SMS marketing. Now, advertisers can send relevant marketing messages in form of text. Now, you know, some of this stuff, is all this stuff applicable? Does it make sense? That depends on who you are and what you want to do. You know, text messaging, maybe left up to the pizza guys. You know what I'm saying? But it's an available option. But, you know, again, if you have a strategy that works, that's very targeted and makes sense, you could do that. The other one is barcode or QR codes. Does everybody know what a QR code is? The ugly things you always see? So, okay, most people use those wrong. I saw a QR code on one of those like political signs that was advertising a house for sale. It just said house for sale, and there's this big QR code on the corner of a street, a busy street, like four-way intersection. Who's stopping and going, house for sale? I wonder what that is. It didn't work. You know, so bad application for a QR code on a bus. Keep it at 40, Jim. You know, so think about it. Are there applications? Sure. I got my business card. On the back of my business card, we do have a QR code, but it looks nice, circular instead of square. And if you click on it, it will go to my personal page at Fruchtman, and you can read about me and my desire to be a rock musician. Yes. The QR codes? QR codes, we don't push QR codes. Here's the thing. They work if it's part of a strategy where it makes sense. If you just use it because you think it's cool and catchy and you put it in an ad, yeah, I mean, you can get them for free. So, but again, it's all about strategy. It's all about marketing. We don't push it too much. We use them for things. It's more of a secondary opportunity, if anything. Okay, this is almost it. I want to talk about your website. I know a lot of people have been hearing about mobile responsive websites. Does everybody know what mobile responsive is? Has everybody heard about that? Who hasn't heard about mobile responsive? Few? Okay. So let me give you an idea of what's happening now. It's not new, but in the past year it's really picked up steam and people are starting to do this. With all that stuff I was showing you on paid search, about that traffic and that digital media that's pushing to your site, more than ever, you better have a nice site. Your site is important. Your site is an investment. It's not 5 years and then we'll get an upgrade in another 5 years. It's like a year or two. It's continually evolving. It is literally the first step people go to before they come into your store. They see that before they see your store. So as much as you care about what your store looks like, you should care about your website. It's hugely important. You can't dismiss it any longer. Because of that, mobile responsive is really, and if you want to see it, come see me at the Digital Marketing Station. I'll show it to you. It's really awesome. Anyway, but for example, what it does, basically, you have different views of your website. So no longer do you have like a mobile dock, right? You have a single website with all the content, and inside that, as people view your site on different devices, they see different content. It looks a little different. It's still the same essence of the site, but it optimizes to the device it's being seen on. So for example, you've got desktop, right? Standard website. But now if I were to scroll the window, you would see it actually change. But now if I were to look at it on a horizontal tablet, I'll get a different view, slightly different view. Horizontal tablet, still a good size. So I'll get a slightly different view. Then I'll go to vertical tablet, okay? If someone, and actually, if you want to see Angie Ash right across the street at Fruckman, she'll show you the site on an iPad, and she'll flip it. And you'll see how cool it is, because the site changes and adapts based on how she's viewing it. So it's optimal for that viewing device. So then, when you flip it to vertical, the interface changes more. Navigation becomes much more simplistic. In this particular instance, navigation becomes the universal icon for navigation. You click that, then all the navigation shows up in large form, so it's easy to navigate. Because how many have an iPhone and went to a site that's not mobile, and you have to like zoom in to click on the link because there's like all these links? So that's the idea. So it changes. It becomes more simplistic, more stylized. Then you have smartphone, and once it clicks to smartphone, it becomes really simplistic. All the content's still there, but it completely changes, but it adapts to every one of those. Very important. Why? Well, if half the traffic in search, over half the traffic in search is mobile device, and we know that 70% of people have an action within an hour of viewing ads on a mobile device, and you don't have a mobile website, it's like having a store with one small door. Where do I get into this place? I'm going to Jared. God, you guys don't have any humor at all, do you? So, all right, so that's what happens here. So you're saying, all right, you're on a smartphone? This is the optimal viewing. I want you to come and see what we have to offer and make it real simple for you to navigate. So that is web responsive. Any questions on that? It's pretty sweet. You see me at the Digital Marketing Station if you want to talk about it. Also, Angie can show you on the iPad right across the street here.
Do you guys make websites?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, this particular site's in beta. We can actually show you. Yep. We develop websites and we do all this stuff. But yeah. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is budgeting for digital marketing, so you have a frame of reference. Generally speaking, when you look at your marketing budget, if you're a jeweler, you have a set marketing budget. Whatever your set marketing budget is that you determine, look at, and just to let you know, within the next few years, people will be spending 25% or more of their marketing budget on digital media. Okay, so that's a frame of reference. So 2 years ago they were spending 7 to 10%. It's rapidly increasing. So if you want to be a player in the space, a good benchmark is to say 25% of my overall marketing budget should go to digital media. Okay. So when you're planning that, think all the things that we're talking about. Think Facebook advertising. When you think about it, you could run a Facebook advertising campaign for, let's say you do $500 a month, that's $6,000 a year. In a year, for being on 24 hours a day, every day of the year on Facebook, getting fans, branding yourself, getting in the sales cycle, point of sale opportunities, etc., etc. I know people that pay that much for one print ad. Think about that. So that's how you budget it. You get much more from that digital as well. Yes? I'm sorry?
How do you add in like the cost of
That should be part of it. This should be part of it. Yeah, if you're working with an agency or any other service, that should be part of that budget. Put it all together.
But what percentage-wise, what would you allow?
Oh, as an agency?
Yeah, for the agency fee
Yeah.
versus the budget fee for
20%. You go much over 20%, you're sort of eating into your own stuff. So that's a good way. It depends on your store, of course, but some won't be that much. If you're a bigger retailer store, it might not be that much. If you're smaller, it might be close to that, or it might be 22, 23. Does someone have another question? Like $6,000 a year, that's a $500 a month media budget, which is pretty typical with our clients. Some of them do $750, but I mean, we're talking about a full healthy Facebook campaign running all year, every day, for $6,000. I mean, that's a media spend I'll do any day. So, paid search is the same way. I mean, you're talking about clicks that are actually driving traffic to places you can see it. So, digital marketing is very important. It is definitely something that if you haven't, you need to take a hold of. If you're not doing paid search, you should think about it. Your competitor is, I guarantee you. Think about the traffic that I'm telling you about mobile, how people are shopping, what they're thinking. Think about the content you have on your website. You have a lot of imagery, you show some product. People are shopping. So that's all I have.